Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bold Unstoppable Show. I am Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, known as the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And if you've been paying attention and chiming into our show and watching our show and sharing our show with other bad, bold, unstoppable women that you know and that you have in your life, then you know we don't play. We don't play. It's open engagement, open dialogue, and we have a lot of fun discussing the issues that we women face in today's society. So I'm going to officially open up and say, if you have not already subscribed to the show, like the show, commented on the show, please go and do that. You can go to my YouTube channel as well as comment here. We'll have that all uploaded so that you can be recognized when someone pops in and takes a look at the show. So I'm officially going to open up and say hello, my beautiful, brilliant, and bold, unstoppable queens, and welcome to another deeply impactful episode of the Bold Unstoppable Show. As your host, Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the queen of feeling fabulous, the queen of sassiness, and the queen of all things bliss. Today, we're talking about something that touches lives, shifts communities, and transforms the world, particularly women in philanthropy and social impact. So, for centuries, women have been given up in some of the most powerful positions, and they have been giving in powerful positions, often unrecognized, but never discounted. And over time, it's expanded from just care and resources to allowing other brave, bold, and unstoppable women to step into the world of philanthropy and to really begin to take action. But what about now in this day and age with our climate all over the world? Things are happening. You see, women, we are not just giving quietly. It's time for us to wake up and we're giving boldly. We're creating change with strategy, alignment, and heartfelt connections. And so this month's episode shines a light on how women use their wealth, financial, emotional, relationship, and spiritual to uplift causes they believe in and reshape what it means to be a giver in today's world. Our phenomenal panelists will share how they align with giving with their deepest values, how they are creating with impact, with or without deep pockets. That's a key right there. And why every woman, no matter what your status is or your net worth, has the power to be a philanthropist and a change maker, because you never know whose life you may change, especially if you want to create a legacy for your future generations. So, can we really make a difference as women? You better believe, hell yeah, we can. And that's what this conversation is all about. So I'm going to let the panelists begin to introduce themselves. And so let's start with you, Layla. Why don't you introduce yourselves to the audience?
Hi, my name is Leila Kubesh. I'm here today from Cincinnati, Ohio, and my background is education, teaching English as a second language to K through 12 and at the university level, and also teaching world languages.
Well, thank you, Layla, for joining us today, this evening, all the way from Cincinnati, Ohio. And you see this thing on my arm. I know it's probably catching you guys' attention. I was trying to keep it off camera, but it's a bone stimulator because I have a fracture here, and it's helping to heal that bone in my left humerus and shoulder to heal. So it's not some weird apparatus. It is, but it's a healthy thing. Okay, so Leanne, you're next. Share with the audience where you're from and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Leanne Reiber. I am from Ontario, Canada, small little town called Walkerton. I am the founder and CEO of a new startup called Second Skin Society. It is a fitness community for everybody and every body where we focus on accessibility and inclusion so people with and without disabilities can work out together.
Oh, I love that. As a gym rat myself, yeah, I can appreciate that. And that's really giving at the most deep, full, and most healing level, because everybody needs to get moving in order for us to
100%.
well,
Yeah.
right? And it needs to be accessible to everyone. So thank you for doing that, Leanne. And thank you for joining the show. Ermi, tell the fabulous viewers and listeners all about my beautiful girl, Ermi.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Urmi, and I am calling from Montreal, Canada. I am a corporate professional. However, I do a lot of things. I'm a woman who wears many hats. I'm a big advocate for women's empowerment. I'm a part of a club of an organization called Women in Leadership, and I am basically the co-chair for the Montreal chapter. I'm also a self-published author, speaker, blogger, mentor, YouTuber. So I do a bunch of different things. So I'm very happy to be here today.
Well, thank you, Ermi. It's a pleasure to have you. And so, ladies, are you ready? Let's get started. I want to open up the first question I have for you with regards to our topic, which is dollars and cents, women in philanthropy and social impact. And so my first question that I have for you ladies this evening is, let's start from the beginning. What inspired your journey into philanthropy? I don't know why I'm having a problem with that. What inspired your journey into philanthropy and or social impact? And what was your first experience of giving with intention? And so let's start with you, Layla.
I did not intend when I began, my mind was not, I'm giving something. It started out, I felt very angry. I was teaching at the high school, and a lot of my students, when they turned 18 in the state of Ohio, their foster youth, when they turned 18, they became homeless. And when I speak to them, they say we're aging out. And I thought, very funny. American people are always worried about aging, but I didn't know aging out, what it meant. Tell me that, they cry, and then I never see them again. And so I started inquiring in the community, and I thought, oh, this is easy. I'll take a day off. I'll buy a suit, and I'll just meet with a child protective services. And I got stood up, and they said, oh, you're a teacher. Well, it's an unfortunate thing that happens to them. And I remember going downstairs. I couldn't take the elevator because I was afraid I'm going to burst into tears in front of a lot of people. I was going down the stairs, and I thought, why is it that people don't listen to teachers? And my knees buckled, and I felt like, oh my God, how many stairs do I need to take? And then I realized, like, no, I'm not going up, I'm coming down. And I said, they will hear from me. And I thought at the time that I said that, I thought I was saying that to consolate myself. I came home, I was at the same desk, at the same computer, and I looked on this, what's happening. And there was a TEDx Cincinnati, and I have a great chance of being hit by lightning than being accepted to do this. But I think, no. I remember when I told myself nobody listens to me, I couldn't come down the stairs. But the minute I said they will hear from me, I ran down to my car, got out of the parking lot. And that's when I started to realize that words have power. I applied, and I was accepted to do an audition. And then from that audition, I won first place. And that was my first time I've done any public speaking. And I was so petrified that I went to the public library and checked out 27 audio boxes.
So now with regards to all of this, how did you decide to give with intention?
The intention was to solve a problem.
Okay. And it seems like to me the problem was that what you identified when you were coming down the stairs is, why doesn't anyone listen to teachers?
Yeah.
And I would say that I did school nursing back in the day for a little while, for about 4 years. I absolutely loved it. And I had children from kindergarten through 12th grade. And so teachers spend the most time with kids. It's amazing how they're not listened, and they're not heard. They're not listened to, and they're not heard when it comes to our children. And I don't care if it's kindergarten or the senior in high school. Teachers know their students in ways that parents don't know their students, right? Think about when we were in high school. You was one way at home, and you were a whole nother way at school, and you were a whole nother way when you were away from school with your friends, right? So I think it's imperative that the society, our communities begin to pay attention to what our teachers are saying about our children, particularly in this day and age where everything is generated online and the attention of these children are online. So I want to ask, thank you, Layla, for your insight and input. I want to ask this next question. There's a misconception that philanthropy is only for the wealthy. how do you define philanthropy, and how can women create impact at any financial level? And we've got to take a quick break and I'll come back, but I want you all to ponder that answers to that question and what it means to you when we come back from our quick break to the Bold Unstoppable Show. This is your time to share the show because we're talking some deep stuff here and it really does affect us women and our future female generations. We'll be right back in just a few moments. Stay tuned. All righty, welcome back to the Bold Unstoppable Show. I'm Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson. And the question I asked before we went to the break is, there's often a misconception that philanthropy is only for the wealthy. How can you define philanthropy, and how can women create impact at any financial level? And so I want to ask this of you, Leon. What are your thoughts with regards to the question?
To me, philanthropy is really just doing good. And of course, that can mean many, many things. I think about it when I am out for walks with my dogs every morning and I see the same older adults that are out for a walk first thing in the morning. And I think about the energy that I can give to them. I might be the only person that they get to speak to, even just for a moment throughout that day. So I'm thinking about leaving people with the impression of increase. That is philanthropy in one way. Of course, in the work that we're doing in my business, there's all kinds of different aspects to how we are, working to create more access, working to empower people with disabilities to lead in the fitness and yoga industries. There's such a range that you can think about when it comes to philanthropy, and smiling at someone and being kind to someone is philanthropy, and also donating to organizations that are doing good work and, creating scholarship opportunities for people to access certain things. That is also philanthropy. So for me, it just is very much, I think a lot about leaving people with the impression of increase in every single interaction that I have.
I love that. You basically said philanthropy can be tangible and intangible. And sometimes the intangible aspects of what you're giving in philanthropy have the most power in helping those to feel inclusive and loved and cared about, right? Ermi, what are your thoughts with regards to the question?
I also very much agree with whatever Leanne just said. And I definitely would say that philanthropy is not for rich people. I think philanthropy is all about making an impact, and it could be as much as giving back, let's say $5, if we talk about financially, right? It could be you giving up on your, let's say, latte on a day, and you decide to donate the money towards a charity that you care for. And those $5 do make a difference in a lot of organizations, because of course, if you donate for an organization that is not based in the States, but it's based in another country where, the currency is different, those $5, they make a huge impact. And if you think about, if I give $5, you give $5, she gives $5, that adds up, right? So that becomes an exponential amount of money. And so I also used to believe that philanthropy is only for rich people. Only rich people can do it. You have to be super rich millionaire and so forth. But I started to realize that my small impact, even if I just donate, a couple of dollars, they started to make a huge impact. So for me, it's really not about being super wealthy.
I love it. Wonderful, wonderful information. Love this dialogue. I've always been a giver. And when my kids were little, I used to make them go into their rooms, go in their closet, all the clothes they couldn't wear, that they didn't want to wear, or they didn't like anymore. And we put them in a bag, all their toys that they had outgrown, and put them in a bag. And we'd take them to the city I lived in at the time was Tracy. So we would take them to Tracy Interfaith Ministries, as well as Goodwill and Salvation Army. Because I wanted to let them know that everybody doesn't live like us. And all the kids in your class, even though they may be in your class, doesn't mean that they live like this, or that their parents have the financial means that we have. So I always wanted them to understand that be grateful for the gifts you receive, but have more grace to give gifts to others that also need to receive. And so I think it's a huge part for me. And the phenomenal thing is, you never know what you teach your kids and what they pick up on. My kids are well into their 30s now, and they have continued doing that twice a year, spring and around, holiday season. They'll bag up their stuff and they'll go donate it. Now they live in way better than I could ever imagine, right? But so they're giving away designer stuff and all that kind of stuff. But it's not so much the gift, it's the act of giving, because you never know whose life you may change just by giving and donating something that could help them get that job interview or whatever it is. So you do not have to be wealthy to have a philanthropic essence in your heart. So my next question is, how do you ensure that your giving aligns with your values and purpose? And what questions do you ask yourself before supporting a cause? We all heard of AARP. Y'all probably haven't, or maybe you have, I don't know. But when you get to my age, you hear about AARP, you start getting them mailers in the mail and stuff. But also, just when we look around our towns, our cities, our communities, our counties, our state, there's a lot of ways that we can give without discounting our values, and that falls in lines with our values. And there are important questions we need to ask before we give, because sometimes organizations are not what we think they are, and the money or whatever we're giving does not actually go to the individuals. So what are your thoughts about that? How do we ensure that when we give, it aligns with our values and purpose? I'm gonna just stop it right there. Let me go with you, Ermi, on that one. How do we assure that?
Let me tell you this. I'm always very skeptical when it comes to this. Like, when you are giving money, you're not sure where this is going. I tend to do a lot of due diligence. And I do happen to contact a lot of the organizations that I want to give money to. And it happened that back in the days, I used to support a cause, and I still do, which is in relation to child marriages in Bangladesh. And I used to volunteer for that organization. And so I was close related to this organization. I was speaking to the people, and I knew that my money was definitely going towards helping the girls in the community. But let me tell you this, it's always super tricky. And I think a lot of the times you really have to make sure that you're doing a lot of research and making sure that you're doing the due diligence, that this money is not being used for other purposes, because it can happen. And you also have to make sure that whatever you're giving your money towards it's something that comes from your heart, but it's also connected to your own personal story. So for me, for instance, I'm giving you this example of child marriages in Bangladesh. This is something that is close to my heart because I come from there, right? My parents are from Bangladesh, and I see how women are treated. So I am connected at a more emotional level to this cause. So which makes it I feel very much, I have a spark that I feel like I just want to make a change. I do want to make an impact. And so I was pretty much drawn to it, and I did all that I could do to make sure that the money was really going towards helping these girls, basically.
So basically, you're saying make sure you investigate a little bit before you donate. What about you, Layla? What are your thoughts with regards to that?
For me, as an educator, I see the world through the children's eyes and their parents. I created a not-for-profit organization called Parents to Partners. And when I started working with these families, especially newcomers or those with limited English, I realized, there's a disconnect between them and the community or the teachers. So then I added a layer where I would have this internship. So anybody from any country, and actually right now we have a lot of students from Fanshawe College. They can do a virtual internship with the organization. I don't need anything. So the goal is to do a project in their own community, how they can serve their community, and I would fund whatever it is. So it goes directly to the books or a gift card that they need, and then they would show me the accountability, what they have done with that funds or with the training. Because I believe the best gift you can give is your time and talent when you don't have anything else.
I love it. I love it. Again, wonderful questions. We've got to go to a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back in just a few moments to the Bold Unstoppable Show as we're discussing philanthropy. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. All righty, we are back to the Bold Unstoppable Show, and today we're discussing dollars and cents, women in philanthropy and social impact. We're having some powerful dialogue and conversation with regards to this. And so the last question we were talking about was, how do you ensure that your giving aligns with your values and purpose? And what questions do you ask yourself before supporting a cause? And so I want to turn this over to you, Leanne. When you're thinking about supporting a cause, what questions do you ask yourself before you say, yes, I'm going to support that cause?
It really is about personal experience for me. That is, if I have a connection to the cause, that's really where everything starts. There's all kinds of things that I guess I would check in terms of ensuring that cause is in integrity with who I am. And there are lots of different ways for me to do. I mean, I work in a space of accessibility and inclusion, so I look at organizations through that lens. I think about all the different things that I can support them with, even just if I'm seeing things that maybe don't initially align, and look to build those relationships to see if there's a good fit there. I do think, as Ermi was talking about, the relationship aspect for me is really important. Getting to know people in those organizations, getting to understand where the impact is being made, and getting to actually experience that through whatever I'm giving, time or money, I'm getting to experience that impact. I'm seeing that impact. That is very important to me. And that would be a big kind of decision maker for me, is, do I get to understand that impact? Do I get to hear the stories of the person that received the funds or received, whatever it was that I was putting in? Relationship building, I think, is a huge importance.
I love it. Again, thank you for sharing. In the early part of the millennium, I was asked to serve on a board of directors for a nonprofit organization. And the nonprofit was the Northern California Foundation for Lupus and Rheumatoid Arthritis. And I was like, how did they find me? Who? But this is just, I always say that the divine puts things in alignment with you, and then you have to say yes, right? So my mom suffered from rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, and was forced to retire at the age of 39 due to her debilitating illnesses and disease. And so when they reached out to me, I was like, oh, this is coincidental. Like, she's been doing pretty doggone good. She looked good as me, right? But when I asked them why they reached out to me, I had been pretty influential in Silicon Valley, and I've been all over the place. But they also knew that I had a connection with the medical community, and they wanted someone on the board of directors that could explain to the just lay people about the terminology and the new advances that were happening in rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. And when I realized that it wasn't because they reached out to me because I was like maybe the face of Silicon Valley at that time, they were reaching out to me because somehow someone knew about my medical background as an emergency room trauma and flight nurse, and they knew that I understand and that I could explain to people the physicians they needed to get, the type of medications that were coming out and how they were going to be advantageous. And it was just me giving my time and the wisdom that I already had, which was interesting because my kids were little and I lived about an hour east of San Jose at that time. But I was so honored to be able, because I thought, I never know what this information that I'm sharing that's coming to me via the Northern California Lupus Foundation that I'm sharing with people. I never know how the information is going to be impactful in helping someone to have sustainability with their very debilitating disease. And so the questions I asked definitely solidified in my mind that I was doing the right thing. And even though let me backtrack, I was giving money as well, but that came later. But that wasn't the first way they reached out to me. They wanted me to be a part of an organization because of my experience and expertise. They didn't know my mom had it, and they didn't know really as deep as my financial status. They just wanted someone that could articulate to those in lower socioeconomic communities the information that was coming out about the disease. So it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And for me, it was definitely a way for me to give back to the community. Now, my next question I have is, can you share a story where your giving, whether it's time, money, or mentorship, led to a ripple effect of unexpected impact. And I'm going to start with you, Leanne. You're in the hot seat right now with regards to this. Can you share with us?
Oh my goodness. I feel like there are so many stories that I can share. I'm super grateful where people have shared with me, about different pieces of impact. I think one of the things that I'm very aware of is not knowing the full ripple effect. And that is something that I love. I love, in a business, you start a business, the odds are stacked against you, especially as a woman, the odds are stacked against you. In the tech space, the odds are stacked against you as a solo founder, as a woman founder, as a person working in the accessibility and inclusion space. Like, it's just layer upon layer. And I think about all the different opportunities that I have had to work with colleges and universities and work with students and speak to them and, work with them on projects outside of the business and speak to them about accessibility and inclusion and how important it is. And I often think to myself, if one of those students goes into another organization and takes that with them, or they start their own business and they take that with them, that ripple effect, I don't get to know, but I believe in it so much. And that makes me feel like it's inevitable that I am successful. I already am successful because I've had those opportunities multiple times. If I can educate the teachers at the colleges and universities to consider accessibility and really kind of give a different lens to how they are teaching and how they're including their students, again, I feel like I am already a success. It's because of my business that I have these opportunities, but I take every single one of those opportunities very seriously, not knowing just how far they will go. And maybe somebody else starts a wildly successful business that really brings people together. And it is because of the work that I did with them. I dream of those things. I love thinking about the fact that we never get to know, but if we show up, again, coming back to that, leaving people with the impression of increase, we can believe and we can trust that that ripple effect extends far beyond what we could ever imagine.
I love that. I love it. I think that's a key is giving and not really thinking about what it's going to do for you or how far it's going to go. It's just when you come open and you're giving from your heart, you just want to make a contribution that helps the organization and the individuals that the organizations support just have a little bit better life. And sometimes you never know or hear about the transformations that occur with these people that you've assisted or you've helped via processes. But to me personally, it doesn't matter because it just feels so good to be able to give from an open heart without any intentions or anything, just openly giving. And I think that's what us three ladies, you three ladies and myself, are all about. Now we have to take another quick break. I'm so sorry, but you're listening to the Bold Unstoppable Show. You're watching us. And if any of this resonates with you, please drop some comments in at the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the show. It's seen and heard by over 70 million people around the world. So it's might be a tiny show to you, but the impact that the guests and the panelists bring to the show is beyond transcendent that you can ever imagine, because each one of these ladies have already shared words of wisdom, and we don't know who's listening or watching us, that what you shared has and will change that person's life. So we'll be right back to the Blissful Living Podcast. We'll be right back to the Bold Unstoppable Show in just a few moments. Stay tuned. All right, we are back with Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, and my guest panelists, Layla, Leanne, and Ermi. And we are talking about philanthropy and particularly women in philanthropy and the social impact that we make when it comes to dollars and cents. And not CENTS, but SENCE. So the next question I want to ask you ladies is, what role does emotional or spiritual wealth play in your approach to philanthropy and or service. And if you can like share some examples and ideals that we can do that go beyond financial aspects, that would be great. How about let's start with you, Layla?
There was even a research when you were talking about the mention that whenever we give, any kindness we do has a great impact. For me, teaching in high need communities, working with at-risk youth, I found I used to come home in tears. Sometimes I got my drooling when I'm driving, and I realized I would have tears in listening to the stories of the students. But I believe that all of us have the power to make a change. In the beginning of the story, when I started talking about that talk that I did was a sold out event, and we ended up getting, I started asking people, please help sign for this House bill, and it passed in the state of Ohio. And now children who are age 18 have a chance to have a home until age 21. And it became with one idea. And I used to tell myself, English is not even my first or second or my third. And I would say, I'm just a teacher, or I'm a nobody, or I can't afford to. It doesn't matter. If you give the time and your talent and you're willing to learn, there's nothing, and I mean nothing, you cannot do.
Oh, I love that. Time, talent, and willing to learn. It does not always have to be financial, my friends. You can change lives in dollars and cents with time, talent, and your willingness to serve. I love that. What about for you, Ermi? Um, what role does emotional or spiritual wealth play in your approach to philanthropy? Philanthropy. Why can't I say that word? Philanthropy or service. I've been struggling with that since I was a kid.
Yeah, I would say that my answer is very much related to what we have discussing so far. And for me, it's really about being genuine. We spoke about relationship, we spoke about mentorship. And for me, a lot of the times when I'm doing these things, I am personally thinking I'm not making any impact, to be honest. I'm just thinking, okay, I'm giving my time. I'm honest with myself. I generally like giving back to people, whether I'm making an impact or not. It, to me, it's like, I don't know, I hope I do, but it doesn't matter too much. But once I had this particular experience about this girl that I was mentoring, and I didn't think I made a big impact, but she was going around telling everyone about me, how great I was. And I was like, wow, I didn't think I was making so much of an impact. And I started to realize how much it's important to be genuine in everything that we do. Like if you want something to be true and honest, it has to come from your heart. Like don't do it because you absolutely want to, change the world, become famous for it. Like do it because you truly believe in it. And that's something that I really stand for. Like I think that if you're giving your time, if you're sharing your knowledge, it really has to come from your heart. Otherwise you are not going anywhere. You will not feel like you want to put your time towards that. So it really has to be a natural and spontaneous type of action. So that's how I like to do my philanthropy type of work.
I love it. I love that. Again, you never know uh, whose life you're going to change or impact just by, giving up your time, talent, and experience. It's just it's a beautiful feeling. It's almost like a wonderful, calm, peaceful orgasm. I'm just gonna say I mean, it is. I mean, I can't. Okay, for me, okay, I like shoes. I have a shoe fetish, so every time I go buy a pair of shoes, it's like this warm, peaceful, orgasmic feeling because I know when I step out in those shoes, I'm gonna look absolutely cute, and hopefully they don't hurt my feet. But it is a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I highly suggest anybody listening to us or watching, if you have a organization in your community that you want to support or something that you have been wanting to do to give back to society, don't let you listening and seeing us be the last time you think about it. Go ahead and take steps forward and act upon that. Whatever it is that has your heart singing and resonates with just an essence of beautiful, loving energy, go ahead and do that. One of the things that for me that resonates with that type of energy is supporting women around the world being able to obtain education at a four-year university and college. And it came to me when I was young and 16 going off to college, the struggles I had, even though my tuition and things were paid for, I still had to struggle. And so when I started aging and looking around, young ladies have a lot more difficult time getting to college and getting college paid for than young men. They have a lot more opportunities and avenues. And so for me, I'm very passionate about educating my future female generation. Now, I have a son and a daughter, but I'm very passionate about that because I'm the first person in my family to go off to a 4-year, to go off to college, period. Generations, right? And so for me, my goal with 1 Million Girls, my nonprofit, is to be able to send 1 million girls around the world to a 4-year university via college scholarships, grants, and things of that nature, tuition free, so that they can get the education and be the change makers that our world needs today to make this world a better place. Women don't often opt to go to war because they disagree. We may be catty, now don't get me wrong, but we try to come to find a way. We come to the table to try to figure things out. And it's these girls that have brilliance that are not able to go to college for whatever reason, and mainly it's due to financial. So I want to eliminate that and let these ladies go because, 3 generations from now, I want to be looking around and down or wherever I may be and be like, yes, our ladies are taking command and they're actually changing the world to make it a better place. So supporting via philanthropy and social impact is very powerful and important in our world today. I'm going to take a real quick break. We'll be right back to the Bold Unstoppable Show, where we'll continue our conversation about dollars and cents and women in philanthropy. Stay tuned. Okay, we are back. Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And we're back with our last little segment here of the Bold Unstoppable Show, where we're discussing dollars and cents, women in philanthropy, and the social impact that we're creating and making for our future generations. Now, ladies, the question is, what boundaries have you had to create around your giving, whether it's burnout, guilt, or overgiving? And really, how have you managed that? Because once you become known as a giver, everybody and their grandmama gonna reach out to you. So what boundaries have you been able or had to put in place to circumvent some of that? And let's go ahead and start with you, Ermi.
All right. Well, boundaries is my favorite topic, I have to say. And I think for me, when it came to boundaries, I can talk about different things when it comes to boundaries, but for me, it was mainly, when it comes to organization, is mainly choosing the one that is mostly aligned with myself. And when it came to dedicating my time towards that organization, it also meant a lot of the time saying no to a lot of other things that were coming on my way, whether it meant, time with other people, maybe, social activities. And I always put, my purpose first. What I wanted to do, what I was meant to be doing, my vocation, I often call it, I always put it first. And for me, it was really putting a lot of boundaries, but by saying no and choosing myself first. And it came a lot of the times from a place where I did feel guilty at times. And I always felt this was probably a selfish act, but I knew that if this was something that was truly making me happy, then I had to go towards that. And I had really had to put my needs first before thinking about other people. And so for me, if something really mattered, I just said no. It took a while. It took a lot of experiences. It took a lot of trials to be comfortable with that. But eventually I was able to do that. And I am much more comfortable when it comes to putting boundaries and saying no.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Leanne, what are your thoughts? What boundaries have you had to create around your giving?
Many, and it's a work in progress still. There are still times that I battle myself over if I should have said yes to something or whatnot. The biggest thing is just that you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I know that we've probably all heard people say that before, but because I have dealt with long-term chronic burnout, I know how that actually feels in my body to try to continue to give when I have absolutely nothing left to give. you have to take care of yourself in order to create the impact in the world that you actually want to create. You have to fill your own cup with whatever that is, whether that is, saying no to relationships that drain you, or taking the time every morning, like I do, going out into nature, walking, spending that time and having it be a non-negotiable. If it's meditation, if it's yoga, if it's listening to music, whatever your thing is, if it's an afternoon nap every day, know what your thing is that actually gives you energy and make that one of your non-negotiables every day. And know that in doing it, even though you might battle the guilt, because there are many, many things that you could be doing, in doing it, you're filling your cup so that you can pour into others, so that you can bless other people, so that you can create the impact in the world that you want to. That's what it is for me. And it really helps me get over that guilt of, I should be doing this. I could be doing this. I told this person I didn't have time to hang out with them, and here I am laying down for a rest. It's about honoring my body, honoring my mind, honoring my heart, and knowing that when I do that, it gives me just so much more capacity to give to other people.
I love it. Basically, in all of what you said is that it's okay to be philanthropic to ourselves, because when we're philanthropic to ourselves, we're able to come from a much deeper cup, giving without burning out and feeling guilty about the giving. So I absolutely love that. Okay, we've got one more question that I want to ask in time for this this last question. So for the women watching who want to make an impact but feel unsure where to start, what advice would you give that lady, that woman, whether young, old, or in between? What advice would you all give that lady to get her to get started? And if you could keep your answers to 30 seconds or less, that would be great. Let's start with you, Layla. Go ahead.
Definitely take a chance, because you will never know the learning you will make. And Mother Teresa, a long time ago, I think she said, the people that cross your path are going to be either a lesson or a blessing. And to me, for a long time, I would be frustrated with myself, and I would say, I'm a master of mistakes. But when I would journal about it and say, what did I learn, and how can I do better next time? And through that journey, I learned more about myself. I developed great relationships, certainly learned a lot of skills, but helped me articulate how I want to express my boundaries. Definitely follow your heart, pick something, and see what happens.
I love it. What about you, Leanne? What are your thoughts?
I have two things. One, I don't believe you can get it wrong. If your intentions are pure and you're moving in a direction that you intend to help other people, I don't believe that can be wrong. But number two, if you can't stop thinking about it, there's your clue. If you keep coming back to it over and over again, and it's just always on your heart or always on your mind, or you're seeing signs, other people start saying things to you about it, or you scroll on Instagram and something comes up, that is divine intervention telling you which direction to go.
Love it. Thank you, Leanne. And Ermi, what are your thoughts with regards to what we're discussing?
So I'm going to share a quote that says, be the change you want to see in the world, which is a quote by Gandhi. And this is a quotation I like to live by. And my advice to the women out there is that don't wait for someone else to do something that you can do yourself. Be the change maker. Just go for it. If there is something that is like clicking in your mind, just do it. Don't wait for it.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, ladies. The dialogue tonight has been absolutely amazing. Hopefully all of you watching and listening now have a better sense of when we're talking about dollars and cents, women in philanthropy and social impact, we're talking about the things that we discussed during tonight's show. Queens' conversation has stirred something sacred with not only in me, but I believe with the listening audience and those that are viewing us. There is something that I know each and every one of the people that hear us and listen to will be able to take away and go forth in their life, creating dollars and cents and understanding that we women can be powerful in our philanthropy. And it doesn't always necessarily mean financial power with that philanthropy. What we've uncovered here is the truth that philanthropy isn't about how much you have, it's about how much heart you're willing to give. We've seen women that are changing lives where women in leadership positions that they've never had and we've never held as a gender before. We're changing legacies by just having discussions like what we're discussing tonight, whether it's through writing checks, offering mentorship, volunteering our time, raising our voices, or simply showing up. We are creating waves of impact that will be felt not only for our generation, but the future generations to come as we create this legacy of dollars and cents in our future generations. And here's what I want you to remember from this conversation tonight. You don't need millions to be a philanthropist. All you need is clarity. You need courage. And you need a cause that moves your spirit. You see, the real currency of change is what you intend to do and the action you take to make that intention a reality. To my bold and beautiful panelists, I thank you for reminding us that giving with purpose is one of the most powerful ways that we can live boldly and unapologetically. And to our bold, unstoppable audience, your impact matters, whether you're giving from your wallet, your wisdom, or your soul. Rest assured and know this in the sacredness of your heart that you are truly making a difference. I am Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, your queen of feeling fabulous, and this has been another heartfelt episode of the Bold Unstoppable Show. Until next time, lead with love, give with grace, and never underestimate the power of what one woman can do to change the world, especially when she's connected to a tribe of unstoppable queens like all of you. Thank you so much for your time. And until next time, make sure you subscribe so you know and like the show and comment because I know our panelists would love to hear what you thought about our conversation. But until next time, be healthy, wise, and wealthy in everything that you do. Say goodbye for now, but just for now, because we'll be back next month with another powerful and impactful show on the Bold Unstoppable Show. It's Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, saying goodbye for now.